On this channel, I like to dunk on Emperor Bulblats from Pikmin 2 quite a bit. Mostly because you can do this. Yeah, you can just kill him before he even has a chance to attack. By the time his health bar appears on the screen, it's pretty much already gone. This is about as close as you can get to a one-shot in a Pikmin game. And that got me thinking, can you do this to other bosses? Can you one-shot them like we can one-shot the Emperor Bulblats? And if so, how many? Is it possible to one-shot every boss in every Pikmin game? Well, we're gonna find out. And obviously, this one-shot against the Emperor Bulblats isn't really a true one-shot. If you don't know what a one-shot is, it's basically when you kill an enemy with a single attack. One move that deletes their entire health bar. And obviously, doing this in Pikmin isn't really possible. Even my so-called one-shot against Emperor Bulblats was really me attacking multiple times. So to make this challenge actually possible, we're going to be changing the rules just a little bit. Instead of killing with a single attack, we need to kill the boss before it has any chance to react. Before it can shake off our Pikmin, before it can attack back, we need to kill it. And if we don't, we fail. If we bring back the Emperor Bulblats clip again, you can see here that I kill him before he has a chance to do anything. This is exactly what we want. This is what I consider to be a Pikmin one-shot. Now, if he were to shake the Pikmin off, and I had to call them back and attack again, this wouldn't count. He needs to be dead before he does anything. I'm also allowed to use anything at my disposal to achieve the one-shot. So I can use spicy sprays, bitter sprays, bomb rocks, and yes, even Ochi. And trust me, I'm gonna need it. Because the bosses in this series are not meant to be killed like this. So let's stop wasting any more time and just get into it. Let's try and one-shot every boss in every game in the Pikmin series. Before we start, guys, if you like what we do here on the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps us out and is appreciated more than you'll ever know. Or, if you want to go the extra mile, we actually just enable memberships on our channel so you can support us that way or through our Patreon. Your support through either one allows us to keep making videos like this, and for that, we're forever grateful. Thank you. So, we're gonna go game by game here. We're gonna cover Pikmin 1 first, then 2, then 3, and then 4. Okay? Got it? Awesome? Good. Let's go. Okay. So the first boss we have is the Armored Cannon Beetle from Pikmin 1, and this boss is a little funky. To actually do damage to it, we have to first throw a Pikmin in its blowhole, then attack once its weak spot has opened up. And I was debating for a while whether or not throwing a Pikmin in its blowhole actually counted as an attack, and I don't think it does. I think as long as we don't do any damage to the boss, we can do whatever we want to it. If throwing a Pikmin in its blowhole did damage, then yeah, I think it counts as an attack. But since it doesn't, I think we're good here. So once its weak spot has opened up, we can walk around to the back and start throwing Pikmin on him. To kill him before he closes his wings though, you have to throw really fast. I use the technique where you use the C-stick to move the Pikmin as close to Olimar as possible while you're throwing, which actually allows you to throw way quicker. You can see here the difference between using this technique and not using it, and how much slower not using it actually is. So through using this faster throwing technique, I was able to get a bunch of Pikmin on his back and kill him before he closed his wings, successfully one-shotting him. Originally, I thought you needed to use reds to pull this off, as they do 50% more damage than yellows and blues, but as you can see here, I killed the Cannon Beetle in the distant spring with blue Pikmin just fine. It seems all you need to do is throw really fast. Next up, we have the Snagret, and one-shotting the Snagret is pretty easy. All you need to do is grab 100 reds, wait till he does this animation where he gets his head stuck in the ground, swarm it while his head is stuck, and then just watch as your Pikmin absolutely obliterate him. The Mamuta is pretty much the same thing. I actually tried using bombs first, but there just aren't enough of them in the impact site to actually kill him in a single shot. So all we need to do once again is grab 100 reds, walk over to the Mamuta, dismiss our Pikmin right beside him so he gets swarmed, and he'll die without having a chance to attack. Next up is the Ghoulets. And the Ghoulets is another weird one, because we can technically one-shot him, but he just takes forever to die. If we take 100 blue Pikmin and throw them on this little nucleus here, it'll just sit there while they slowly kill it. Under my rules, this still counts as a one-shot though, as he never tries to shake them off or actually attack himself. He kinda just sits there. So even though it's a long attack, this is still technically all one attack. I did try and use the method where you can knock the one nucleus into the other one, which actually does damage based on how many Pikmin are on the nucleus, but even with 99 Pikmin on it, it still wasn't enough to kill him in a single shot. This also probably wouldn't have counted anyways, as I used Pikmin to attack this nucleus, and then one to attack this one, so it's basically like 2 attacks instead of 1. But either way, if we're patient, we can one-shot the Ghoulets, no problem. For the Puffstool, all we have to do is swarm Pikmin around its feet and it'll run away and trip. The Pikmin around his feet will stay latched on and we can sit and watch as it dies before it has any chance to attack. Now, there is definitely some RNG to this though, mainly the part where the Pikmin stay latched onto his feet. A lot of the times I tried this, there just wasn't enough latched on and they wouldn't kill him before he got up. Oh yeah, and be sure to use red Pikmin because the timing on this is pretty tight, even with good RNG. So you would think that the Smoky Prog would be pretty difficult to one-shot, but he actually turned out to be super easy. And there's actually 2 ways you can do it. The first is that you can actually just kill the egg before he breaks out of it, and if you do, he just dies, which is kinda cool. I knew you guys wouldn't be satisfied with that though, so I decided to use a method that had a bit more firepower. I went around the distant spring and gathered up every bomb rock available to us, which happened to be 21. I then threw a couple near the Smoky Prawn to set the bombs off, walked my other Pikmin right beside him, the bombs went boom, and the Prog was killed with a single shot. Next on the docket, we have Beady Longlegs, and I didn't really know what to make of Beady. Mainly because he has one weird property. When Beady Longlegs shakes off Pikmin, he doesn't shake them all off. Some of them will stay latched on and will keep attacking. Now, don't quote me on this, but I think he may be one of, if not the only boss in the entire series that has this property. Every other boss I could think of, when they go to shake off Pikmin, they'll always shake off every Pikmin. Hell, even Beady Longlegs from Pikmin 2 works this way. It's only his Pikmin 1 variant that has this weird quirk. The reason I bring this up is because we can kill Beady with one attack, but he tries to shake the Pikmin off before we do. He just can't get all of them, so he ends up dying anyways. Now, this directly breaks my rule where we have to kill the boss before it reacts to us. But the reason I made that rule was so that I couldn't attack again once my Pikmin had been thrown off the boss. But that's not really what happens here. I only attack once and he dies. The same Pikmin I threw on with my first attack are the ones that kill him. So I don't really know what to do here. I think I'm going to leave it as inconclusive, and you guys can let me know in the comments if you think it should be allowed or not. Alright, we already made it to our final boss for Pikmin 1. Emperor Bulblats. And this isn't the pathetic version from Pikmin 2. This is Beefy Boy from Pikmin 1. He has a ton of HP. There's no way we can attack him head on and kill him without him shaking Pikmin off. We just kill him way too slowly. If you fought him before though, you probably know exactly what we're gonna do. We're gonna use Bomb Rocks. When the Emperor eats a Bomb Rock, he'll get stunned for a bit. The more he eats, the longer he'll be stunned. Since he has so much health though, we're gonna need a lot of them. 50 to be exact. If you're wondering where I got all these Bomb Rocks, by the way, it was at these spots around the arena. It doesn't look like they'd have that many, but they actually do. So now that we have 50 Bomb Rocks, we can throw all our yellow Pikmin right here, awaken the Emperor, call our yellow Pikmin back so they drop the bombs, which the Emperor will then try and eat and stun himself in the process. which at that point we can go to town with our Pikmin and kill him instantly. Now, you could say this was two separate attacks, and I don't necessarily disagree with you, but in my eyes, we don't really attack the Emperor with the bomb rods. He just kind of eats them himself. So I think the attack starts when we jump on him with our Pikmin. So I'm calling it a one-shot. Alright, time to move on to Pikmin 2. And the first boss we have in Pikmin 2 is Beady Longlegs. Unlike the fight from the first game, there are no shenanigans with this version of Beady. We can kill him with a one-shot, no problem. All we need to do is grab some yellows, use a spicy spray on them which increases their attack power, and then throw them at Beady until he dies. Note, I did use the faster throwing technique I used on the Armored Cannon Beetle in this fight, and I think you actually need it here because the timing is so tight. There were so many times where I came within a sliver of killing him, but he would shake off my Pikmin right before I did. I also tried this with reds and purples, and it didn't seem to work. The extra throw height you get with yellow Pikmin made sure that more of them were able to latch onto Beady and get attacks in, and considering how tight the timing is, you need every attack you can get. Next up, we have Emperor Bulblats, and you guys already know how this one goes. We can one-shot him with literally no problem. All we need to do is chuck Pikmin on his face while he's waking up, and he'll die before the fight's even started. We do use purple Pikmin here, which have double the attack power of regular Pikmin, but I'm pretty sure you could do this with even reds, which only have 50% more power. He's just that pathetic. Now it's time for the Empress Bulblats, and the Empress Bulblats is a little more difficult than her male counterpart. The strategy itself isn't any more complex, you just have to throw super quickly. There were a lot of times I came super close to killing her, but it just wasn't enough. I think what finally pushed me over the edge was realizing that attacking her while she was still sleeping, instead of waking her up and then attacking her, gave me an extra second or two I needed to kill her before she shook my Pikmin off. So if you want to do this yourself, spicy up your Pikmin, use the C-stick method to throw them faster, and do it while she's still sleeping. So I was thinking of not including the baby variant of Empress Bulblats, but it actually turned out to be pretty different. Since she starts already awake, we actually can't kill her with just the spicy spray and spamming Pikmin. She shakes them off way too quickly. So for the first time in this video, we need to make use of our good friend, the Bitter Spray. Bitter Sprays will freeze an enemy in place for 9 seconds, allowing you to do damage to them while they basically can't do anything. You would think an item like this would be invaluable in a one-shot challenge, and it kind of is, but it comes with one major caveat. When bosses are Bitter Sprayed, they take 1/4 of the damage they normally would take from a Pikmin's attack. You can see in this clip that we burn through her HP until I Bitter Spray her, and then our damage goes down to almost 0. We can't even get through the last quarter of her health in 9 seconds. So what we have to do is attack her with our Pikmin, let them do as much damage as possible, then right as she's about to shake them off, use our Bitter Spray, and take down the remaining HP as she's frozen in place. I found if you let your Pikmin damage her just above 3/4 of her HP, and then use the Bitter Spray, it pretty much kills her every time. So remember how I said bosses take 1/4 of the damage they would normally take when they're Bitter Sprayed? Well, for some reason, this doesn't apply to the giant bread bug. He actually takes 50% more damage when he's Bitter Sprayed. So we can avoid taking the normal route of taking him back to the ship with treasures, and instead just Bitter Spray him and kill him instantly. Now it's time for the Man at Legs. And the Man at Legs creates another weird situation. I first approached it with a bunch of purples and just started throwing them on it while he was still submerged in the ground. Since purple Pikmin do damage when they slam down on the ground, I can actually damage him while he's still getting up. Unfortunately though, no matter how many times I tried or how close I got, I couldn't actually finish him off. You can see in this clip, I get so close, but I actually run out of purple Pikmin. I only came in with 50, so I think if I had 60 or 70, I might have been able to do it. You can see there's still some time to attack, but I literally have no Pikmin to throw. However, if I bitter him though, right before he tries to shake off my Pikmin, I can kill him. But it feels a bit weird because all my Pikmin are already knocked off, so I kind of had to attack twice. They weren't really knocked off by him though, they were knocked off by some imaginary force, so I don't really know what to make of it. I'm gonna leave this one as inconclusive, with it potentially being possible if I had more purples. Oh boy, Pileated Snagger time. Out of all the bosses in this video, this guy might have been the most frustrating. I first thought I could kill him in the same way we killed the Snagger from Pikmin 1. I would just wait until his head was stuck, then swarm him with all my Pikmin. But this, unfortunately, didn't work. He was able to shake them off before I was even close to killing him. I tried throwing them on his head, I tried using spicy Pikmin, I tried using purple Pikmin, I even tried to bitter spray him, but nothing worked. He has the same damage immunity as the Emperor Bulblats did when bittered, so I needed to get him way lower if I was ever going to use a bitter spray, which just wasn't happening. After like 30 minutes of fighting him, I was ready to give up. But then this happened. A purple Pikmin stunned him. Something that I didn't even know was possible. So I checked the wiki, and sure enough, there is exactly a 1% chance that a Pileated Snagger gets stunned by a purple Pikmin throw. A 1% chance. Not very likely, which explains why I've never seen it before. But at least now, there was a light at the end of the tunnel. All I needed was one of these stuns, and I could beat the Pileated Snagger in one shot. And in a couple of attempts, this happened. He jumped out of the ground, I started attacking him in his face with red Pikmin, threw some purples at him, got a lucky stun, did a bunch of damage to him, then bitter sprayed him right as he was about to run away. Which at that point, I was able to finish him off and complete the one shot. Now, you might say this doesn't count, because he attacked while all this was going on, which is actually strictly against my rules. But as you can see, the Pikmin in his mouth don't actually die. He was frozen right as he was about to kill them, so his attack never fully went off. So I'm not going to count it as a full attack, and the one shot stands. Now, the Raging Longlegs is a boss I was really worried about. He has one of the highest health pools in the entire game at 10,000. So burning through all of that before he had any chance to shake off my Pikmin seemed really unlikely. And my first couple of attempts kind of confirmed this. He would fall down, I would attack him, do like a quarter of his HP, and then he would shake my Pikmin off. And at that point, I thought this was a lost cause. That was until I found the secret sauce to beating this guy in a single shot. And that secret sauce is patience. You see, the first couple tries, I would attack him as soon as he fell down, which is bad because it allows him to immediately shake your Pikmin off. What you want to do is wait until he does these 2 dips, then right before he lifts up his feet, you want to start throwing Pikmin on his body. When the Raging Longlegs starts this cycle of lifting up each one of his 4 feet, he can't stop until he's done. And while he's doing this, your Pikmin can just go to town. They can take down nearly his entire health bar, and then as he goes to shake them off, you can bitter spray him and freeze him in place, allowing your Pikmin to finish off the job, killing him in a single shot. The Raging Bloister was super easy. If you didn't know, this boss lots on to whatever captain you're currently playing as. So we can hide Olimar behind this wall, and then walk behind the Raging Bloister with Louie and a bunch of purple Pikmin. We can then switch back to Olimar so the Bloister targets him. Then we need to switch back to Louie, spam purple Pikmin at his tail, which will kill him before he has a chance to do anything. So, weirdly enough, the segmented Cropster was also a super easy boss to one-shot. I thought he'd be hard because he's kind of a tough boss casually, but if you use this specific technique, he's an absolute joke. All you have to do is grab a bunch of purple Pikmin, spicy them up so they run faster, run to the spot where the segmented Cropster falls down, and then dismiss your Pikmin. Then, something weird happens. They will attach to his stomach and be completely immune from being crushed, even when he rolls around. All you have to do now is get him to run into a wall, and all of your purple Pikmin who are attached to his stomach will attack him in full force, killing him instantly. So, big shocker, the burrowing Snaggart from Pikmin 2 is a complete joke. You don't even really need a strategy here, you just have to wait until his head gets stuck. Once that happens, you can throw some Pikmin on him and he dies. There's actually a 10% chance he gets stunned by purple Pikmin, but you don't even need it here because he just dies anyways. You don't need stuns, you don't need bitters, you don't need spices. He just dies to straight up purples. Next up, we got the Water Wraith, and the Water Wraith is really tragic. If you don't know, the Water Wraith can only be damaged if it's touched by a purple Pikmin first. If not, it's completely invulnerable. But this isn't even the tragic part, because we have purple Pikmin, so we can deal with this. The problem is that it has two phases. One where it's on rollers, and one where it's running around like this. So it essentially has two health bars. And since I hadn't come across a boss like this yet, I wasn't really sure what to do with it. But eventually, I decided that if I was able to 100-0 each health bar with one attack, it would still count as a one-shot. That's how most one-shot challenges in other games handle this issue, so I thought it was fair. The first phase is completely fine. We can throw purple Pikmin on him, then dismiss our Pikmin right under his rollers, which will kill him instantly. The problem is that his second phase is a nightmare. When he gets knocked off his rollers, he'll run around like this until you throw a purple Pikmin on his back. Once you do, he'll kneel to the ground and start thrashing around like this, trying to throw your Pikmin off. And there's nothing you can do to stop this. I tried using a bitter spray, but the Water Wraith is the only boss in the game that takes no damage while bittered. I also tried stunning him with purples, but he's unable to be stunned by purple Pikmin. There's nothing you can do to kill him before he throws your Pikmin off. The only way I can see killing the Water Wraith in one shot being possible is if you somehow got him to drive out of bounds and fall into the void. So for right now, I'm gonna say it's not possible to one-shot the Water Wraith. So now we've come to the final boss of Pikmin 2, the Titan Dweevil. Honestly, I'm not really sure what to make of the Titan Dweevil, because I think under my rules, we can legally one-shot him, but I'm not sure. To actually damage the Titan Dweevil, you need to first remove the 4 treasures that are attached to his body. Where it gets weird though, is that these treasures don't have a health bar. And I mentioned with our first boss, the Armored Cannon Beetle, we can do whatever we want to a boss as long as it doesn't affect its health bar. So, we should be good then, right? Well, I don't know. It felt kinda weird to me to slowly kill the boss in what was supposed to be a one-shot challenge. So, I came up with a stipulation that I thought was fair. If I could knock off each one of these treasures in a single attack each, and then kill the Titan Dweevil in a single attack as well, I would call it a one-shot. I thought this was the fairest way to navigate this weird edge case of a boss. And it turns out one-shotting his treasures was actually pretty easy. The best way to do it is get as many yellow Pikmin as you can, spicy them up, and then when he starts attacking, throw your Pikmin on one of the treasures as fast as you can, which at that point, it'll detach before he can shake your Pikmin off. It worked best for me when I waited for him to do his electrical attack, as this and his water attack take the longest for him to pull off. You could wait for the water attack as well, but doing that makes it really hard to knock off the Shock Therapist, as he shoots water right through the treasure. So it's best just to wait for the electrical attack, then knock off the Comedy Bomb, Flare Cannon, and finally Monster Pump. After that, with just the Shock Therapist left, you want to start throwing Pikmin on the treasure during his attack, which will knock it off just before he puts it back on his body. Finally, we're left with the Titan Dweevil himself, and taking him out in one shot is actually pretty trivial. All we have to do is spicy up our Pikmin, throw them on his body, then as he starts to shake them off, we want to use a bitter spray which will freeze him in place, allowing us to kill him. We can actually bitter him way earlier than other bosses because for some reason, the Titan Dweevil only has a 50% damage reduction when bitter sprayed, as opposed to the 75 that most other bosses have. Now it's time to move on to Pikmin 3. And the first boss we have from Pikmin 3 is the Armored Maudad. The Armored Maudad was actually really easy. All we had to do was first break the end of his tail with our rock Pikmin, which doesn't count as an attack under my rules because we're not affecting his health bar in any way. Then we can charge our red Pikmin on his tail, which will kill him in one shot. A really easy start to Pikmin 3. I'm sure every boss is gonna be this easy, right? Right? So now it's time to talk about something that happens in Pikmin 3 that's really annoying. The main bosses in this game all seem to have some kind of limit on how much damage you can deal to them in a single attack. It's like as soon as they hit a certain damage threshold, they'll run away no matter what. That's why I was actually kind of surprised we were able to kill the Maudad in a single shot, because I've done this strategy before and he usually runs away with a sliver of HP. But we did just show it was possible. Unfortunately though, the other bosses in the game just aren't. Let's look at the Phosbat first. Even if you light up the main light in the cave, which makes him vulnerable to damage, you still can't one-shot him. He will always break away when his health bar hits this point. I tried so many times and the results were always the same. Well, sometimes it was a little less, but it was never more. I tried using spicy sprays, I tried using red Pikmin, I tried using rock Pikmin, the result was always the same. I even tried stunning him with the smaller lights, and then just as he was about to get up, I would do it again, so he would be stunned in place, but unfortunately this just doesn't work. For the Phosbat to be stunned, it has to be in the air. And if it's already in the air, it's already escaped, and our chance for the one-shot is over. The Mirror Slug was more of the same. To damage him, you either have to charge him while he's on top of this mound, or throw a bomb in his mouth when he creates a pit. He'll then flop out of the sand, which at that point you can attack his body. But again, just like with the Phosbat, as soon as you deal like a third of his HP, he'll just run away. Again, I tried multiple things. I tried without spicy, with spicy, I tried throwing more than one bomb in his pit, which did do more damage, but it didn't matter because as soon as he got to the 1/3 mark, he just ran away again anyways. It's like they're programmed to run away as soon as their health hits a certain threshold, which is super annoying. The best boss to see this in action with is the Scornet Maestro. The Scornet Maestro has certain phases that the game will not allow you to skip, and it'll actually cap your damage to do so. You can actually see here that as soon as it takes 1/4 of its HP, you can't do any more damage to it. I'm throwing Rock Pikmin right at its face, which should be doing damage, but it just doesn't. Here, you can actually see the health bar resisting my attacks. It drops below half for a split second, but won't go any further. And then it actually regenerates its health back to half, because that's what it's scripted to do. There's nothing you can do to get past this, because it's hard-coded into the game. The Myroclops is a bit of a different story though. But not in a good way. It's actually kind of tragic. Because under my rules, he's barely just not a one-shot. You first want to attack the crystal on his back until he stands up. Then at that point, you can attack his foot so he falls right back down again, which will allow you to break the crystal on his back for good and you can finally start doing damage to him. Again, under my rules, all of this is okay because we're not doing damage to his actual health bar. So now we want to attack his foot one last time so he falls down again. Now we can get on his back, bait out his tongue attack, run around to the bat side of his head, charge our Pikmin on him, call them back right before he shakes them off, then, as he's about to stand up, charge your Pikmin on him one last time, which will finish him off. This kills him extraordinarily quickly, but he both attacks and shakes off our Pikmin before we can finish him off. So unfortunately, under my rules, this does not count as a one-shot. The Plasm Wraith, we're not even going to talk about because you can't even get close to one-shotting him. If you're playing on normal mode in the deluxe version, you can come pretty close with bomb rots, but it's still not enough for a one-shot. If you didn't know, normal mode on the deluxe version lowers the HP of all enemies, including bosses. But even with this lower HP, you still can't one-shot any of the bosses except for the Maudad, which really sucks, but hey, it is what it is. Luckily for us though, the mini-bosses of Pikmin 3 treated us a bit better. The Bug-Eyed Crawmad, for example, is maybe one of the easiest one-shottable bosses we've come across so far. All you have to do is bring 100 winged Pikmin, charge them at his eyeballs, which they'll kill almost instantly. Then, once it's flipped over, they'll start attacking his stomach, killing him in one shot. You don't even have to charge them again. Once he's flipped over, they'll just start attacking him all by themselves. All you have to do is press the charge button once, and the Pikmin will do all the work, making this a legitimate, actual one-shot, which is pretty cool. The Calcified Crushblat is another mini-boss that is also super easy to one-shot. We just have to grab some bombs with our winged Pikmin so they can carry them over the water leading to the Crushblat. Then throw our 4 bomb rots by his feet, and boom, there goes his health bar. Next, we have the Snagret. And big surprise, once again, he's a total joke. If we take a bunch of winged Pikmin, spicy them up, and then charge them at his head as he comes out of the ground, they will kill him in less than 1 second. However, our easy streak is about to come to an end, because the last boss on our list is Shaggy Longlegs. And unfortunately for us, Shaggy Longlegs is impossible to one-shot. To do damage to him, you have to attack all these furry sections around his legs. The problem is, attacking these furry sections does damage to him. So unlike the Maudad, where revealing his weak point doesn't actually hurt him, revealing Shaggy Longlegs' weak point does. You can actually do a really quick kill on him by using bomb rots and winged Pikmin, but again, this doesn't count as a one-shot because you're doing damage with the bomb rots first and then attacking him second. So that was our last boss from Pikmin 3, which now means we've arrived at Pikmin 4. And Pikmin 4 can pretty much be summed up in one word: Oatchi. This menace to society can one-shot almost every boss in the game. I almost considered banning him for this video, but then I realized everything in Pikmin 4 is broken. It's not just Oatchi. Like, if I banned Oatchi, I could just use Ice Pikmin, who are also insanely broken. Or if I banned Ice Pikmin, I could just use Ice Bombs. Or if I banned Ice Bombs, I could just use the Lightning Shock item. There are so many ways to one-shot bosses in this game, because everything is so broken and they are so weak. In fact, so many of these kills are so brain dead, they're not even worth going over in depth. There's no strategy here. It's just a complete massacre. So instead of me talking about them, enjoy this montage of me one-shotting almost every boss in Pikmin 4. Oh, pause the montage for 1 sec. Master Hop is so pathetic, you can actually one-shot him with just 14 ice Pikmin. Just throw them on his back, he'll jump in the air, freeze, and he's dead. Yeah. Anyways, back to the montage. So that was me one-shotting almost every boss in Pikmin 4. And I say almost because there's still 2 bosses remaining. Let's look at the first one, the Water Wraith. I was a bit worried about the Water Wraith because he was one of the bosses in Pikmin 2 that we couldn't one-shot. But thankfully, in Pikmin 4, he's a whole lot easier. And it's mainly due to the item Lightning Shock. Lightning Shock will stun all enemies in an area around the player for 7 seconds. So we can literally walk up to the Water Wraith, use Lightning Shock, throw Purple Pikmin on his back, finish off the first phase, then do it again to finish off his second phase. There is actually a pretty cool technique you can use to one-shot him without Purple Pikmin, but it's pretty hard to pull off. As the Water Wraith spawns, you need to throw a mine behind his back. Then wait till he slams down and raises up his head, which at that point you want to throw an ice bomb near him on the right side. Then you want to walk right up to his rollers, and the moment he starts rolling, you want to throw an ice bomb with Ochi. Throwing the bomb right by his rollers will raise him up off the ground a bit and freeze him instantly. And like we saw with Master Hop earlier, anything in this game that's frozen and comes crashing to the ground will die instantaneously. So he falls to the ground, his rollers die, then he gets knocked into the air by the mine and frozen with the last ice bomb. If everything's done right, he'll come crashing down and be killed in his second phase. I should mention though that this may have been patched out of the game. I tried this for over an hour, and even though it seemed like I got everything right, it just never seemed to work for some reason. The video where I learned this from is almost a year old now, so it's completely possible that this was patched out, but I'm not sure. Either way, it doesn't really matter because we can kill him with Purple Pikmin just fine. Okay, so now we've come to the last boss in Pikmin 4, and the last boss on our list actually, the Sire Hound. Unfortunately, like all other bosses in Pikmin 4, the Sire Hound is kind of boring and really easy. The Sire Hound has 5 separate phases, and they can all be dealt with in the same way. Literally, all you need to do is throw 2 Purple Pikmin on his tail, which will cause him to fall over. Then spicy up your Pikmin, charge at him with Ochi, use Lightning Shot to stun him in place, and the rest is history. You just have to do this 5 times, and the fight is over. Since he has 5 separate health bars, and we one-shot each of them with a single attack, this counts as a one-shot under my rules. Which means every single boss in Pikmin 4 can be one-shot. Which is kinda crazy. So over the course of 4 games, we looked at 55 bosses in total. 45 of those bosses could be one-shot in one way or another. 2 of them, Beady Longlegs from Pikmin 1 and Manet Legs from Pikmin 2, could be one-shot possibly, but it comes down to how you interpret my rules. Finally, there are 7 bosses that there's just no chance in hell you could ever one-shot. This includes the Water Wraith from Pikmin 2, the Mearslug, Phosbat, Plasm Wraith, Shaky Longlegs, Mireclops, and finally, Scornet Maestro. Out of the 9 bosses in Pikmin 1, all but 1 could be one-shot. In Pikmin 2, only 2 couldn't be one-shot. In Pikmin 3, 6 bosses could not be one-shot. And finally, in Pikmin 4, every single boss in the game can be one-shot. It would be really cool if we could actually one-shot every single boss in every game in the series, but I don't know if it's possible. If you guys have any ideas on how we could one-shot the remaining 9 bosses, please let me know in the comments. I'd be really interested to know if there was something I missed. But anyways guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. This video was made possible by our amazing patrons. And if you yourself want to support the channel, it would be greatly appreciated. Doing it through memberships or Patreon is the best way to do it, and ensures we can keep making videos like this for a long time in the future. Thank you so much, and have a great day.